Your ship glides through the silent dark. The star at this system's heart is cold. Its light died long before your ancestors were born. You are an archivist of the Elder Ones. Your task is to chart the graveyards of the void. You catalog the final whispers of failed worlds. This system is just another tomb on your list. Your instruments read nothing but dust and echoes. 9 planets orbit the dead star. All are barren rock or frozen gas. It is a place of profound and perfect emptiness. A standard assignment by every measure. You feel the familiar calm of cosmic loneliness. It is the peace of a library with no books left to read. You pilot your ship toward the 3rd planet. It is a rust-colored sphere, once blue and white. Your long-range scans show no technology, no structures, not even the faintest heat bloom of a ruin. Your mission parameters are simple. Land, gather core samples, and leave. Catalog the geochemistry of its death. This tomb should be no different from 1,000 others. A species rises, and then it falls. The universe does not mourn. It simply moves on. And you are its patient, diligent historian. You prepare the landing sequence. The ship descends into the thin, dead atmosphere. Another day. Another ghost. Your boots touch red soil. The air is thin, toxic, unbreathable. Your helmet filters out the silence. The landscape is a panorama of jagged canyons. Wind carves through them over millions of years. This world did not die peacefully. It fought back against its own end. You deploy the deep scan drones. They map the crust, searching for anomalies. You are looking for fossil records, the bones of this world's lost children. The drones soon signal a find. A rich deposit of calcified remains. A planetary boneyard not far from your location. You walk toward the site. The ground is littered with shattered bone. These were bipeds, like you, but different. Their skeletons are thick. Their muscle attachments suggest great strength. They seem built for brutality and conflict. You kneel and run a gloved finger over a skull. Its brow is heavy, its jaw strong. These people were fighters. Their fossils are riddled with trauma. Healed fractures line their limbs. Skulls bear the marks of crude, heavy weapons. They fought each other constantly, savagely. You surmise they were a primitive, violent species. They likely destroyed themselves in tribal warfare. A sad but common story in the star science books. You continue your survey of the fossil bed. Your drone alerts you to a strange reading. A metallic signature buried deep beneath the bone layer. It is not a natural ore deposit. The signal is clean, organized, artificial. This is unexpected. Primitive tribes do not typically work metal with such purity. You command the drone to excavate. Lasers slice away layers of rock and time. Dust and sediment are carefully blown away. Something begins to emerge from the dirt. It is not a weapon or a tool. It is something else entirely. Something smooth and dark and impossibly elegant. It is a small black dodecahedron. It rests in the palm of your hand. Its surface is seamless, without mark or join. It feels warm to the touch, even through your glove. It is humming with a faint, silent energy. This artifact does not belong here. It contradicts everything the bones have told you. Your ship's computer analyzes the object. The results make no sense. The material is an isotope of carbon you have never seen. Its atomic structure is stable, yet shouldn't be. And its power source is a paradox. It seems to draw energy from a dimension your science calls impossible. It is a quiet little miracle that spits in the face of physics. A funny joke for a dead world to tell. You expand your scans beyond the boneyard. You re-examine the planet as a whole. The canyons and fissures. You thought them natural. You were wrong. The long, straight lines across the continents are not riverbeds. They are scars, impact vectors. They tell a story of orbital bombardment. Something terrible was unleashed upon this world. The crust is saturated with exotic radiation. The signature matches that of a shatter weapon, a device designed to break a planet's mantle, to extinguish all life in a single, brutal moment. This was not a tribal squabble with stone clubs. This was a war of annihilation. Who would use such a weapon on a primitive race? It makes no sense. The energy cost would be immense, like using a star hammer to crack a nut. The violence here was absolute. It was meant to erase every trace of this species, to salt the earth of their entire world. You now understand the quiet hum of the artifact. It must have been shielded from the blast, buried deep enough to survive the planet's murder. It is the only thing left of their true genius, a testament to a mind that could bend reality, and a tombstone for a world that was executed. Your search becomes more urgent. You scan the entire system with new eyes. You look past the dead star and its cold worlds, and you find them. The ghosts of this species are everywhere. They did not die meekly in their cradle. They had already reached for the stars. There are wrecks on the fourth planet, ships half buried in the red sands of Mars, a name you pull from their records. More remains on the moons of the gas giants, small outposts and mining colonies, all silent, all scoured by the same weapon that killed their home. They were not primitives. They were pioneers. They expanded with breathtaking speed. The datings on the wrecks are staggering. In a few short centuries, they went from solid ground to system-wide. No known species has ever moved that fast. My people took thousands of years to reach our own moon. We were always so careful, so deliberate. These beings, they just ran. This was not exploration. It was an exodus, a desperate flight from something they saw coming. They were trying to scatter their people, to hide their children among the outer worlds. But their enemy was thorough. It hunted them down, one by one, and it left nothing but scorched rock and silence. One of your deep space probes signals a discovery, an object adrift in the outer darkness, beyond the orbit of the final planet. It is small, old, and badly damaged, but its transponder is still faintly active. It is one of their probes, a relic from their frantic expansion, and it carries a library. You bring the ancient probe aboard your ship. Its outer casing is pitted and scarred, but its core memory is partially intact. Most of the data is corrupted, lost to time and radiation, but some fragments remain, like single pages torn from a book. You begin the slow process of data recovery. Hours turn into a day. You piece together images, text, sound files. A fragmented story emerges from the digital whispers. It speaks of a great and terrible enemy, an entity that travels between the galaxies. It had no name for it. They called it the Devourer, a shadow that consumes entire civilizations. The archive describes its arrival in their galaxy, a wave of cosmic horror sweeping through the star fields. Worlds going dark, entire races vanishing without a trace. The descriptions are chillingly familiar. This is not some forgotten local monster. This is a threat my own people know and have always feared. The archive struggles to render a clear image. The data is too damaged. But then, one file stabilizes. It shows a star science rendering of the enemy's fleet. A swarm of biomechanical ships, each one the size of a moon, jagged, dark, and shaped like hungry insects. A cold dread washes over you. You know this fleet. You have seen these images before. They are in the most secret archives of the Elder Ones. This is the Great Devourer, the ancient foe that forced your ancestors into hiding. The reason your people cling to the void between galaxies. We ran. We have always run from them. You always believed we were the only ones who saw them, the only ones who escaped. You were told our flight was a sign of wisdom, a strategic retreat to preserve our great culture. But the truth is laid bare in this dead species archive. We were not wise. We were just cowards. The probe contains more than just warnings. It holds records of their diplomatic outreach, desperate pleas sent on all frequencies. They begged the elder races of the galaxy for aid. They shared everything they knew about the Devourer. They offered their resources, their ships, their lives. They asked only for a united front. You cross-reference the broadcast logs. You find the exact frequency they used to contact your people. Your heart grows heavy in your chest. The records of the Elder Ones show that we received their message. We heard their cries for help. We analyzed their data on the enemy. And we did nothing. The Grand Council of the Elder Ones voted in secret. They chose to power down our beacons, to retreat further into the silent dark. They classified the Devourer as an unwinnable threat. The official policy became galactic abandonment. We left this quadrant to its fate. We left these humans to die. You now see the full, terrible picture. Your people, the wise and ancient Elder Ones, hid in the shadows. We trembled as the darkness grew. We preached patience and observation. We told ourselves that sacrifice was pointless, that survival was the only virtue that mattered. But this young race, these humans, thought differently. The archive shows their final decision. When the galaxy fell silent, they did not despair. When no help came, they did not surrender. They looked at the all-consuming night, and they chose to become a fire that would burn it away. Their records call it the Final Stand Protocol. They knew they could not win a conventional war. The Devourer's fleet was too vast, its technology too ancient and powerful. So humanity turned to a different kind of science, a science the Elder Ones had long forbidden, a science of terrible and beautiful madness. The files are heavily encrypted, but your systems, aided by the human artifact, begin to crack them. You read their theories. They are notes from the edge of sanity. They were not trying to build a bigger ship or a more powerful laser. They were trying to forge reality itself into a sword. They discovered a way to manipulate space-time at a fundamental level, to treat the fabric of the universe as a weapon. Their calculations are breathtaking. They plan to create a singularity, not of matter, but of causality. A wound in existence that would erase their enemy from time. The theory was brilliant, but the cost was unthinkable. Even the Elder Ones in our most arrogant days never considered such a path. It was a power that should never be used. To create such a weapon was to play with the source code of the cosmos, and to risk unraveling everything. It was the ultimate heresy against life itself. You uncover the final piece of the puzzle, the power source for this reality-ending weapon. It could not be fueled by antimatter or collapsed stars. Such energies were trivial, insufficient for the task. The weapon required something more, something that could resonate with the structure of existence. It required consciousness, a focused, unified will of a sapient species. It needed their minds, their life force, their souls. To power the weapon, every single human had to participate. They had to willingly offer their existence to the machine. It was not a weapon they would fire. It was a weapon they would become. Imagine the choice: to face certain extinction by the Devourer, or to choose a different kind of extinction, a willing self-sacrifice on a scale never before imagined, to erase themselves from the universe, to save a galaxy that had turned its back on them. What kind of species makes a choice like that? The human race stood together one last time, every man, woman, and child. From the colonies on distant moons to the bunkers on their dying Earth. They linked their minds to the great weapon. They prepared to pay the ultimate price, not for victory, but for a chance that others might live. Their courage is a thing that makes your own history feel small. You find the final file in the archive, the last thing humanity ever sent into the void. It was broadcast on all frequencies, a system-wide, open transmission. It was not a cry for help. It was not a lament. It was a declaration of war. You play the message. A single, clear voice speaks in their common tongue. Your ship translates it instantly. The voice is calm, resolute, filled with a terrible purpose. To the thing that calls itself the Devourer, it says, "You have fed on 1,000 worlds. You have silenced 1,000,000 voices. You believe you are the end of all things. Today, you have come to the wrong house." The message continues. We are humanity. We are the children of Earth. We have known fear and we have known pain, but we are not defined by what we suffer. We are defined by what we refuse to surrender. You sought to break our spirit, but you have only sharpened it into a blade. The voice pauses for a moment. Then it delivers its final, chilling promise. You will not have our world. You will not have our children. And you will not have our future. We are the wall upon which you break. We are the fire that scours you from the stars. For every life you have taken, we offer one of our own. We will burn ourselves to ash, to ensure you never threaten anyone again. We are humanity, and our bones will still speak when you are nothing but a memory. The message ends. There is only static. You sit in the silence of your cockpit. A shiver runs down your spine, the audacity, the sheer, magnificent defiance of it all. They faced the devil in the dark. And they did not blink. They just spat in its eye and lit the match. Your mind races. You connect the timelines. The date of humanity's last broadcast. The moment they vanished from the system. You pull up the galactic records from your own people. The sensor logs charting the Devourer's advance. For centuries, the Devourer was a relentless plague. A shadow moving from one star to the next. And then, it stopped. Precisely at the time of humanity's final message, the Devourer's fleet, billions of ships, vanished from all long-range sensors. One moment, they were an unstoppable tide. The next, they were gone. Completely and utterly gone. The elder races were baffled. We called it the Great Silence. We believed the Devourer had simply moved on, retreated to another galaxy to feed. We celebrated our good fortune. We emerged from our hiding places. We congratulated ourselves on our wise patience. We told ourselves that we had weathered the storm. We were so proud of our survival. The truth is so much more humbling. There was no retreat. There was no good fortune. There was a sacrifice. A species we dismissed as primitive and violent stood alone against the storm. They did not weather it. They ended it. They fought a war for us when we were too afraid to fight for ourselves. You look at the data on your screen. The cold, hard facts. The civilization of the Elder. One's exists today because humanity died. The peace we enjoy was bought with their blood. The stars we travel were cleansed by their fire. Every breath you take is a debt to a people you never knew, a people your leaders condemned to death. A profound sense of shame washes over you. Your culture prides itself on logic. on history, on understanding the grand tapestry of the cosmos. But you were blind. You saw a simple, violent species. You failed to see their heart, their incredible capacity for courage and sacrifice. They were more noble in their end than you have been in a million years of life. You turn your attention back to the planet, back to the dust and bones. You have one last task: to analyze the genetic code of this lost race. Perhaps there is something there, some clue to their impossible nature. You command your ship to sequence the DNA from the fossil samples. The process is slow. The genetic material is ancient and degraded. But your computer pieces it together. The human genome, a complex and beautiful code. It shows their evolutionary history, their struggles, their triumphs. And then you find it, buried deep within the non-coding regions of their DNA. It is a message, not written in language, but in the very building blocks of life. It is structured, mathematical, intentional. It could only have been put there by a civilization of supreme intelligence. They rewrote their own biology to leave one final testament, a message for any who might come after, for any who might be wise enough to look. The message is a warning. It details the nature of the devourer. It explains that the devourer is not just a conqueror. It is a cosmic antibody, a natural force that rises to purge galaxies that become too loud, too chaotic. It is a cycle that has repeated for eons. But the message is also a challenge. It speaks of a higher path, a way for civilizations to evolve beyond the cycle of destruction, to achieve a unity of purpose that the devourer cannot touch, to become guardians of life, not just consumers of it. It is a roadmap to a future your people never dreamed of. And at the very end of the genetic code, there is a final sequence, a single, powerful idea encoded into their being. It is the core of what made them human. It is the secret to their impossible courage. Your ship translates the complex biomathematics into a single phrase, a phrase that will haunt your people for the rest of time. Our bones will speak for us. They knew. They always knew they would be remembered, not for their fall, but for their stand.